Check 1, 2. So there's not a monitor, so I'm guessing I won't hear myself, right? No, that's fine. I'm making sure that. Great. Hi, can you hear me? Did you totally rule your meeting?
Does this one work? Hello, hello? Yes? Okay. Do I just leave it on the whole time, or do I turn it on?
It's okay. I'll take it off when we start. I'm like conserving my heat. Really? I'm happy to take one for the team. You guys are like awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I always run cold anyway, so I always have extra like a habit. Just thought I didn't bring the whole blanket.
come into our house of hope and love, of peace and justice, of wholeness and healing. Come in where we welcome the certain and the seeking, the lifers and the newcomers, the beloved and the brokenhearted. All of you can find a home here at Throop, where we go love the world from the heart of Pasadena and from the very heart of our homes. We are so glad you're joining us for our Sunday live stream worship. Brad Wallace is running our live stream. Brad, thank you so much for coming in again today, this Sunday. And I think he just put into the chat a link to the order of worship so you can follow along at home. And if you have hymnals at home, you can sing along at home when we get to the hymns. One of the gifts of doing our services by live stream right now is that each week I've had a co-anchor from the congregation, and today Jim Latham has come in here with me to share a little bit about himself and his experience. Jim was born overseas, and he lived overseas until high school when he moved to Oklahoma, which was also his mother's home. His mother had lived in Oklahoma and attended Indian boarding schools for both high school and also for a 2-year trade school. Jim attended MIT, then USC for graduate work, and currently he works on satellite payloads and on device physics as an engineering fellow. And I can attest that if you ever ask Jim about what he does for a living, his whole face lights up, and he's going to tell you all of this really amazing and compelling and interesting things. And I don't always know exactly what he's talking about, but what I do know is that it fills him with passion. And so that in and of itself is a good enough reason to ask Jim one day, so what is it you do? He enjoys backcountry backpacking. He's an at-large member of the board. And he told me this morning before worship that in a previous life, he was a gecko. What? I don't know if he's going to share more about that today or not. Friends, it is your generous donations that enable us to continue being the church and offering live stream. For those of you who have the ability to continue to give financially, I think Brad just put some online giving links into the chat, and you can always send a donation to the church. We're also delighted today to have a special guest musician with us. This is Jacqueline Schreiber over here on piano. If you were here with us in early October, you will remember her joy and absolute delight that she offers us on piano and with her voice. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
And each one of us is a light in the world, and the flame from our chalice symbolizes and reflects that light.
Our time together in worship is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with words from Elizabeth O'Connor. Whether or not the call includes an outward journey, it always requires an inward one. We need to be delivered from all that binds and keep the real self from breaking into music and becoming joy to the world. We light a second candle to honor the people and ancestors whose lands we now occupy. The land under and around Throop was once and is still the home of the Gabrielino Tongva band of Mission Indian people. May this knowledge and awareness lead us into seeking justice and equity for all. We light a third candle, symbolizing our watershed, the Arroyo Seco. May their waters continue to nourish life in our communities. We take a moment of silence, holding all of these in our hearts.
is wonder and alchemy of art. Love's pure enchantment, communion for the heart. From chants to songs, from jazz to drums, no soul may stay at rest. For starry choir in sky afire will sing, joined with them in anthem blessed. Hope is a high star, the certitude love brings. Silence our center, our living water spring. The waking heart knows self apart from whole and mystery. For gatherings of strength and need will sing throughout human history.
So as that hymn reverberates in our hearts, earth is our homeland. We say our own Throop promise to our planet. Those words are in the order of worship, and just as you're able to at home, I invite you to say them along with me, knowing that as we say those words together, we're finding connection with all our people here, no matter where they are worshiping from. As members of the family of living beings on earth, we are guided by the Unitarian Universalist principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. With hearts filled with love for it, eyes nurtured by its beauty, and minds ruminating on ways to protect its sacred and scarce resources, we promise to nurture the well-being of all life and of the planet itself. And part of nurturing that well-being, of course, is nurturing our own well-being. And this morning, Jim will share a poem called The Second Music by Annie Lightheart.
The Second Music by Annie Lightheart. Now, I understand that there are two melodies playing, one below the other, one easier to hear, the other lower, steady, perhaps more faithful for being less heard, yet always present. When all other things seem lively and real, this one fades, yet the notes of it touch as gently as fingertips, as the sound of the names laid over each child at birth. I want to stay in that music without striving or cover, if the truth of our lives is what is playing. The telling is so soft that this mortal time, this irrevocable change, becomes beautiful. I stop and stop again to hear the second music. I hear the children in the yard, a train, then birds. All this is in it and will be gone. I set my ear to it as I would to a heart.
This morning, we got the sad news that long-time and beloved Throop member Richard Maizon died on January the 17th. Richard was someone who definitely lived in that space between the two melodies and listened so intently to that second music. We mourn this loss and we send our love to Richard's family. Richard was an active member here for many decades. If you find your way ever into our archive closet, you will find pieces of paper that have Richard's name all over it. Richard served in so many capacities. He was our board president at one point. He was our bookkeeper. He joined his voice for many years with the voices in our choir, and he climbed up every ladder we have in this building to change light bulbs. Richard loved folk dancing, and he danced all over LA County many times during the week. And I know he was such a good friend to so many of you here. This morning, we honor the memory of Richard. We'll no longer hear the sound of his singing or experience his joy in dancing. And we extinguish the flame from our chalice to mark his physical death. Richard's spirit lives on in the minds and in the hearts of all the lives he touched. We now light a candle from the flame of our chalice to symbolize the influence of Richard's life, which will go on shining in every one of us. In mystery we are born, in mystery we live, and in mystery we die.
It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us. By and by. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us. By and by. By and by.
This morning, I offer you a blessing for paying attention. Take a breath. Let your body come into this pause this morning. Find your heart. Find your center. Take a breath and rest as this blessing surrounds you. Take a breath and rest in this blessing that comes from me to you. As this blessing makes its way to you, let it be a reminder to open both of your eyes, to open yourself into full awareness, to open up to the song in your heart. In these weeks that have invited us to take another pause, may this slowing down offer you a chance to reconsider the pace at which you move through life. This blessing comes in sync with the earth's rhythms. It has all the time in the world to settle around you, to remind you that the bee is not rushed as it delights in the fragrance and nectar of purple Thai basil flowers. To remind you that the hummingbird lingers just as long as it wants, beguiled by the bright orange Tecomaria blossoms. Let the late January sun, warm and bright, find its way to you. Let it seep into your skin, seep into your soul. Let its light illuminate your world, bringing into focus the small details that escape you when you're moving too fast. Let this blessing slow you. Let it soothe you. Let it find the space in you between the melodies. Find your heart. Find your center. Open up both of your eyes and open yourself up to full awareness. Open to the song inside you. Take note of all that lies within and beyond this pause. Take a breath and rest as this blessing surrounds you.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, oh my soul. Friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to our friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to our friends I will sing. To love and to our friends who pain and sorrow amen. With thanks unto the end, I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end, I will sing.
We're in the midst of a few weeks where we're considering this concept called the 3 G's. Those stand for grounding, the genuine, and gifts. And the 3 G's were introduced to me by a professor at Pacific School of Religion, and just kind of offered it to us students as a way to really think about our callings, our vocations in the world. Last week, Laramie Haynes was with me, and we talked about what grounds us. And today, Jim and I will be in a little conversation about this idea of the genuine. So some of you might be wondering, what does that mean, the genuine? It comes from a Howard Thurman quote from a commencement speech he gave in 1980 at Spellman College. And Howard Thurman's a liberal Christian theologian. If that's a new name to you, I encourage you after worship to Google it and check out some of the profound things and prophetic things he wrote and said. So a piece of what he said in that commencement speech: there is something in every one of you that waits, listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. And if you cannot hear it, you will never find whatever it is for which you are searching. And if you hear it and do not follow it, it was better that you had never been born. That sound, that song, don't we all know that it can just almost too easily get drowned out? Annie Lightheart talked about the 2 melodies that run through our lives. And I think of one of them as being the insistent melody of the world at large, that melody that tries to tell us that we're not doing enough. We're not moving fast enough. We need to have more things on our plate. Someone else's urgency needs to be our urgency. And someone else's expectations of us need to be our expectations of us. Sometimes those expectations, that urgency, sometimes we can slow down enough and realize that those actually aren't ours to carry. As Annie Lightheart talked about in that poem, when we can slow down and pause and breathe, we can start to hear a little more clearly the sound and the song that is in our own hearts and that can guide us in our lives. One way that I think about the genuine in my own life and how it's shown up, this sense that that is just something that you absolutely have to follow, is my own call into the ministry. Before I found Unitarian Universalism and decided to go down this path, I was, and you're probably not surprised if you know me, I was really engaged in local politics and community activism in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And I was active with some nonprofits, and I loved the city, and I imagined myself being a community organizer or an urban planner. And now that I know that urban planners spend a lot of time in an office on a computer and dealing with very disgruntled people, I've been one of them many times, I'm like, that would not have been a good fit for me. But all of that led me into the UU Fellowship in Fayetteville. And it led me, when asked, to become their director of religious education. And through working with children and youth, my total heart and all my being really lit up. And one day when I was talking to my minister about youth ministry, he said, you know, Tara, often people with your kind of passion and enthusiasm find themselves in seminary. And this was 1997. And I just thought, Reverend Rhett, this is the most ridiculous thing anyone's ever said to me. I'm going to get my PhD in urban planning. But that year, I started looking at seminary, and sure enough, in 2001, I entered, and eventually in 2011, it was a long journey for me, was ordained, and in 2012, came here. And a part of my initial kind of passion for community and urban planning, definitely a passion that I had for youth ministry, and absolutely a passion I have for the Throop community, is this sense that I really want to help all of us slow down and remember to note the wholeness and the holiness in ourselves and in one another and in earth and whatever we name as sacred. And so today, when I think about what is the genuine in me, what is that song that really lives in my heart, it's that drive to really be able to hold the wholeness and holiness of all creation. And so Jim, I'm so curious, because you are someone who I know has really followed your passion, and I think that at times it hasn't always been easy in different aspects of your life. And I'm just really curious to hear how the genuine has moved through your life, or how you make sense of that.
That was really fascinating to hear that story in the arc. I hadn't heard that history of yours. That's wow. You've had quite a journey. I guess, you know, I actually thought about this when we were talking earlier in the week, and I kind of made a couple notes. And as I heard what you were saying, I thought maybe I could frame it a little differently. I think really what would be, if you were to ask what is the genuine in myself, when people ask me that out in the world, I think the answer I come up with mostly is the idea of creation, creativity, and the idea that the world is sort of a scaffold for you to practice your art, whatever it is. I mean, for me, it's creativity. And so I really think that that's it. And the way that manifests itself often, I mean, I get the clarity when I'm in a quiet place, when I'm immersed in the ocean, or when I'm out in the backcountry hiking. But what I see is the connection between people. There's nothing without a conversation. And so I like what you said about slowing down, because I think that a lot of people get so caught up in trying to satisfy the other, as you said. And what I try to do, and I do this in my work world as well as in my private life, is to take the genuine in me is to make that connection first, to find out where the person is before getting down to business, so to speak, before saying, okay, well, what is it we're talking about? And I think I'm especially, I notice it especially because it's not something I'm necessarily good at. So I need to actually almost consciously go through it. And so that, I think, kind of helps. Just like if you struggle to learn a subject, you're probably the best tutor of that subject. It's that sort of thing. But when I listen for the genuineness, it really is that idea that what we do is what we do, and then whatever it is, the corporations, the institutions, they're all scaffolding to allow us to play in what we do. And it's not the other way around, right? It's, you know, it's more that we're here to do what we do. I just love the poem that you chose as well. It speaks to that.
Wow, I feel like I have this whole building to play around in,
Yeah.
and the garden. It's funny, I like that. This is my scaffolding. So I'm curious, because you said that like making those personal connections is really important to you before you get into the transactional or business, but you also said you don't necessarily feel like you're that good at it, and so you practice it. And I wonder, because there may be other people who feel like they're not that good at it, and if you have any tips or tricks, like ways that you've really tried to hone that skill.
Oh, I don't know. I you know, I could tell you sort of an interesting anecdote. I work in engineering and science, and I had a small team that we were pulling together people that were just new to the company and new to the project, and the projects always have very tight schedules and very tight budgets, and so everybody was wanting to get a lot done, and we had meetings. And at that time, I was on the board of trustees of UUFSD in San Diego, and I had taken from the openings of the meetings. Now, those of you that are kind of studied liberal arts or something other than engineering, probably you're used to it, where when you start a meeting, you kind of check in and how are things going and all that. Well, in engineering, we don't do that. We just kind of sit down and say, oh, it's time to start the meeting. Okay, what have you found out? What have you found out? How does that work with that? And so I brought that into the engineering meetings. And it was actually, it felt a little odd to some of the participants. I would say, okay, well, before we start, I'd just like to go around the room and hear what's on your mind and just take a minute. Is your cat sick, or are you worried about something, or what? And I found that it had a real strong impact in that the meeting then flowed more smoothly. People actually had made kind of a more of a connection than they would otherwise. And whenever they talked about something technical, they could talk about it and feel heard. And the pace was set. Everybody, the people that were really urgent, people that focused on the project could talk more easily to people who spent an hour on it 2 weeks ago. And everybody was it was sort of a level setting. And so it was really instructive to me, and it fed into this idea that in order to really, it just reinforced the idea that the work is there as a scaffolding, and who we are is much more important. If we can connect, even in just 30 seconds for each person at the beginning of a meeting, then that's what really is the fluid that makes everything run, and the creativity and the trust and all of the things that are needed to get something done. And so, maybe that's a little more insight into kind of what I mean by that, it gives you that scaffolding. And it's not that you got to get the project done, we have to start the meeting on time and end it on time. It's more about we have to all work together and we have to enjoy this. This is what we do. And so was that kind of what you were pointing at?
Yeah, absolutely. You gave us such a great, really specific example that you took from church life.
Right.
Wow, we couldn't have planned that any better. That was great. And then just one more thing I'm curious about is you also talked about the role of creativity, like how important creativity is to you to be able to connect in with that sense of genuine. And I wonder, it might feel too broad, but just kind of how you connect in with the creative part of your job or your other aspects of your life.
Well, okay, so first of all, creativity, my whole job is creativity. I'm very fortunate that my whole career I've been working on the cutting edge of where science meets technology. And, right now, a lot of the work that we do has never been done before. And it looks at how you can creatively use physical phenomena and harness it. If you think about in the olden days, they had oxen that would take a big stone millstone, and they would go around. And then somebody invented, hey, what about if we used a river and we used the running water and hooked that up to the millstone, and we put our mills right on rivers? Okay, that's an example of examining nature and saying, how could we exploit that nature for the good of humanity, right? What we're doing now, of course, is at a different level. We're, one of the projects I'm looking at is quantum sensing using photons, and it's the idea of using that discrete bundle of energy of a photon and how it pairs at a distance with another photon, and how you can sense what that photon at a distance is sensing, while you're here in the lab. But it's the same idea as the idea of a millstone being hooked to a water wheel. It's just saying, what does nature do? How do we understand nature? And then how can we use that to help mankind? And so the creativity is right there. To be honest, when I applied for college, I applied to 2 schools in theater and 2 in engineering. And I was really into theater. And that's what most people think of creativity, is interpreting poems or plays or books or something, but well, actually interpreting emotions, I guess. But there's a lot of creativity in the world in all different areas, and so my scaffolding that I work on is science and technology.
Thank you for sharing some of your scaffolding with us. People may be intrigued and want to find out more about your photons. But thank you. I'm going to just share a little bit more from Howard Thurman's Spellman College commencement speech. The sound of the genuine is flowing through you. Don't be deceived and thrown off by all the noises that are a part of even your dreams, your ambitions, so that you don't hear the sound of the genuine in you, because that is the only true guide that you will ever have. And if you don't have that, you won't have a thing.
May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing away the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. May your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light and softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night.
So we remember that we carry the light of Throop and the light of one another in everything we do. May you listen closely for the sound of the genuine in your life. Don't let outside noises throw you off track for what you know is true in your own heart. May your life be as a song. I love you all. Go out and love the world. Amen and blessed be.
Sing, sing a song, sing out loud, sing out strong, sing of good things, not bad, sing of happy, not sad. Sing, sing a song. Make it simple to last your life long. Don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone to hear. Just sing, sing a song. La 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 da 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 la da da da. All sing of good things, not bad. Sing of happy, not sad. Just sing a song. Sing it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone want to hear. Just say ding, sing a song. Sing your song.
Thank you.